Work. All right, thanks to everybody for joining us on a Friday afternoon on the East Coast, and it's still Friday morning on the West Coast. So I appreciate you guys jumping in, taking in this workshop boot camp that we're putting on for you. I am Harvey Green. I guess I've started to say my official title, even though it's unofficial, is wearer of many hats. I am one of the solutions architects at Zentegra. I also run our Gov business at Zentegra Gov, focused around state and local entities, as well as education and federal government. So got a lot going on always, even more today with some contractors working around me in the house. So if you guys hear booms or hammers or anything like that, that's coming from my side. Hopefully you won't, but I guess that also goes for if you see me look away really quick or have a weird face. I got stuff going on. Here with me today is Paul. Paul, why don't you intro yourself to the people?
Yeah, absolutely. So good morning, everyone on the West Coast. My name is Paul Nguyen. I'm Senior SE here at Nutanix, and I work alongside with Alex Kluger. If you want to do a quick introduction as well, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Glad to be joining this call. Obviously, we've got a great presentation for you with Paul and Harvey doing the co-hosting here. I'm on the sales side, so I'll let the smart people talk most of the call, but obviously I'll chime in if I see a need, but don't believe I will. You're in great hands for today's call. Thanks for everyone for joining again.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have on with me Miss Kathy. Miss Kathy, why don't you say a few words?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Harvey.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm so glad you can all be here. It is afternoon for us here in North Carolina, but I'm glad that you're all here. Enjoy the show.
Thanks, Kathy. I love catching you off guard.
That's what we do here. Keep it more entertaining. Yeah, since it's a smaller group, let's be a little more intimate. If you guys don't mind, get a quick introduction to yourselves and any background or any familiarity with Nutanix or what you like to get out of this class. And for fun, what do you guys like to do for fun? We can start down the line with Alan, if you don't mind going off mute.
I'm just a senior system administrator at Camps Pallets. I've never really used this before and just kind of jumping in to figure this out. So.
Awesome. I'm sure you're more than just, right? I'm sure you're the guy at the company.
Right.
One of them, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Appreciate it, Alan. Angel? Not sure if you're double muted or not. Cool. And you can also put in the chat as well, if you don't mind. But we'll go over to
yeah.
No worries.
Sent back, chat. The mic doesn't work. That's fine.
Anthony, you'll be next.
Yes. Hi, I'm Anthony with Spotsylvania County Network Support Specialist too. And yeah, a little bit of Nutanix background. Did a little bit of training from a little back with other VMs. Definitely seen some similarities and differences between vSphere and VirtualBox. But yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And Dale?
Yeah, I'm a sysadmin. I'm a new member of the Camps Pallets team. No experience with Nutanix at this point.
You got a pretty good hands-on experience today, so we'll have some fun for sure. John? Okay, no worries. We'll go to last but not least, Mark.
Yeah, hi. My name is Mark Vatunskis. I'm a senior system admin for Camps Pallets. Actually, probably the only senior guy on the admin team right now with 4 months on the. So our guy who knew Nutanix was on the job for about a year, and he just recently left. So I figured it'd be good for us all to get on this training here. We're currently using a Nutanix Prism, I want to say, and some other stuff for our hypervisor, the in-between layer.
Yeah, well, we'll get you up to speed for sure, and show you more things that are going on with Nutanix. We're definitely more than what we perceived a year ago. Even we've grown so much as a company.
Yeah, 4 months in, Mark, you're the veteran, all-star.
I don't know about that. A bit large shoes to fill.
Got it. And Paul Johnson sent his in by chat. He's a new member of the Technology Services Department at his bank and looking to become more familiar with Nutanix. So, John, you are in the right place.
Luckily, Mark, we've got some socks to put in those shoes, so you'll be just fine.
Are you shipping that swag to my house then, or what?
We can do that.
Alex also loves to give gift cards, so he'll get something over to you as well.
All right, we're gonna jump in. I'll tell you guys a few things about Zentegra for those of you who are new to Zentegra and not just new to Nutanix. First off, we are giving away a Bronco. I know, as crazy as that sounds. We actually have our giveaway scheduled now for June 30th. So got Zentegra's 10th birthday coming up on July 1st. So we decided we were going to do a big splash for the 10th anniversary that we've been open, and giving away a Bronco for that. So you can head over to bronco.zentegra.com, go through signups, check out what we're doing. But we'll got more coming from that.
1 decade. That's pretty awesome.
I know, yeah, it's crazy. And crazy enough, I've been here for more than half of it.
Yeah.
All right, geez. So who is Integra? On the whole, Integra is a value-added reseller, very much emphasis on value-added. I'll tell you guys, before I was a Zentegra employee, I was a Zentegra customer. And I chose Integra for a reason. It's because of all the things that are done around educating the customers and enabling them. So boot camp workshops like you're on today. We do webinar Wednesday, every Wednesday of the year. And we went from 1 webinar on Wednesdays to 2. Same sort of thing with Nutanix, right? We're doing 1 monthly workshop, now we're doing 2 of them. So we've got lots of things going on, lots of demand for even more. But we do a lot to make sure our customers are educated on technologies, know what's going on, know what's best for their environment, and know best practices. And feel free as you're on the call today to jump in, mute yourself, ask questions. We want this to be very much interactive for you. So going through that, again, that's another piece of what Zentegra does, right? We're not just here to just spout things off to you, right? We'd rather have a conversation with you. That goes both ways. We also do consulting services. So we've got a full bench of consultants that are more than happy to jump out and help you guys with installation, optimization, anything else that you need from that perspective. We do managed services if you want us to take that a bit further and not just help you do it, but do it for you. We also have hosting services so that if you don't want to have the green and red blinky lights in your data center or your office, we will take those on for you too, and make sure we're taking care of that hardware, however you need that done. So we can do basically all of that, or all the way down. So this is a stat that we worked on A few months back, we wanted to count up how many years of experience in the end user compute field that we had as a company. If this was guessing how many jelly beans were in the jar, we were all way off. 716 plus years is what we came up with at that point. Nobody was even close to that. we were way low, even in guessing for ourselves. So that was kind of interesting.
That should have been a guessing game for the Bronco.
I know. Well, it's only gone up since then, so we haven't recalculated. Maybe we could do that.
The next prize, a Porsche.
Right. So Andy Whiteside is the founder of Zentegra. This is a little quote out of him in his picture, but Zentegra was born out of a need for customer enablement and true partnership. And we very much believe in true partnership. So, you know, we don't just help you and hand something off to you, hand off some new hardware and say, here you go, see you later. You know, we're walking hand in hand through the fire, whatever fire it is you guys have. And we just continue working through that with you. You know, I basically started saying, you know, we're at this point, we're not happy until your end users are happy. And we know that, you know, for most cases, they're not happy people all the time, but we do what we can to make them that way. And we'll just keep going through that with you and start, you know, knocking things off in chunks. Zentegra's been recognized a few different times for a few different awards. This one was specifically around Citrix. This was Worldwide Partner of the Year in 2018. We were North American Partner of the Year 2019. We've been IJO's Partner of the Year a few of the past few years. Most recently, we're their Growth Partner of the Year for 2022. Still working on our Nutanix Partner of the Year.
It's on the way.
Yes.
And guys, this is really huge as well with Integra and Citrix. Citrix just announced maybe a month ago that Nutanix is their preferred platform of choice to put Citrix on, VDI on. So it's a perfect marriage between Citrix, Integra, and Nutanix. So you guys are definitely in the right place.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll piggyback onto that. As Integra, we pride ourselves at this point on being end-to-end. So we are not just, you know, helping out with one technology. We're helping, you know, all the way through. So infrastructure is what we'll be talking about today. That infrastructure can live in a bunch of different places. I won't spoil the whole presentation, but infrastructure all the way down to, you know, the delivery of apps and desktops, the endpoints that they're delivered on, securing all of that. Firewall security, networking, cloud, end to end. So whatever you guys have that you want to bring up to Zentegra, feel free to give us the hard ones. We'll take them and come back at you for more. So events.zentegra.com is where we have a listing of all the events that we're putting on. At this point, I think we're averaging 3 or 4 a week easily, which is kind of crazy. But go check out events.zentegra.com. We got a lot of things in the works and coming up, not just things like this, but some in-person things as well, baseball, hockey, basketball, there's all kinds of things. Webinars.zentegra.com is where we house all the information around our webinar Wednesdays. You'll be able to check out, you know, new technologies, be able to jump on and get, these are, you know, kind of down to 30, 45 minutes of a technology, and be able to get you some quick spurts of knowledge and get some questions answered. Podcast.zentegra.com is where we house all our podcasts. The last time I counted, we were up to 9 different podcasts. I won't count today, but you can hear from that. We've got a lot going on from there. I actually personally am one of the co-hosts for the Nutanix Weekly podcast that we put out weekly. So, you know, hopefully you guys are either getting value out of that or going to check the site out today so you can. We've got a very diverse customer base, as you'll see from this slide here. This is just a few of the names that we work with, but You know, just going through it off of what you can see, we've got lots of financial, lots of education, you know, some energies, HBO for, you know, TV, you know, universities, colleges, tire manufacturers, right? We're all over the place. So we can definitely help. You know, no environment's too big or too small. We'll jump in and meet you where you are and take you where you want to go. All right. So again, kind of in summary, we're a value-added reseller. We do perform professional services, but we're very much solution-based. So again, the whole conversation around us being end-to-end, we are very much believers in that. We want to make sure that you guys have a full-throated solution, a fully vetted solution, so that you're not just putting in this piece and then this piece is gone, and this piece and then this piece is gone. You know, we don't do the HGTV half house makeovers when you need a full house. So again, consulting services, managed services. We've got in here advisory services. You know, solutions around digital workspace, digital services, cloud solutions, products, renewals, cloud workspace. Long story short, you know, it's summed up at the bottom again. Multiple solutions, but a single vendor, single point of contact. We can help you with it all. Partners.zentegra.com is a listing of all of the vendor partners that we work with, like Nutanix. At this point, I don't know, at last count, I think we were up to like 80 different technologies that we represent and can work with and try to help you take the pieces of the puzzle that you need put together and put them together for you. Zentegra Connect is our where we do the managed solutions and hosted solutions, as well as a 24/7 365 help desk. They are based out of Alpharetta, Georgia, but we've got engineers nationwide. So definitely there to make sure that we're taking care of your needs, make sure that we can follow the clock, or follow the sun, I guess I should say. But be able to, you know, again, for our hosting solutions, we've got East Coast data centers, we've got West Coast data centers, taking care of all of that for you guys, and just adding to that as we're demanded to do so. So we got a listing here of our different cloud partners. You can see Nutanix there, Citrix, VMware, Office, Azure, Microsoft Gold partner. So definitely able to, again, jump in, do what we need to do from that standpoint. We also partner with AWS, Google Cloud as well, which somehow are missing from this slide, but we'll get that fixed. But again, just, you know, very much can jump in and take you where you want to go, no matter where you want to put it. We do have a Zentegra staffing division that helps takes care of your staffing needs. If you guys have any openings right now that you're trying to fill, or you have any for the future that you think will be coming up, we'll be more than happy to try to help you fill those positions. People we can vet first, make sure that, you know, you're getting the right person for the right position. The same for if you guys are job seekers. We have jobs.zentegra.com, which I think will come on the next slide, that you guys can take a look at all of our openings. And if one of them is right for you, more than welcome to apply for it, and we'll get you through that process. Free assessment. So one of the other things that Zentegra does at no charge to our customers or our future customers are to perform what we call micro assessments. These micro assessments are across different technologies. And basically what we do is take a look at your environment as it stands today with you. You are, you know, in control the whole time. No data leaves your premises. We don't even have control over the mouse and keyboard. but we're just, gathering information on what you have, where you are, how things are implemented, so that we can come back to you with recommendations and suggestions based on your environment. Again, costs you absolutely nothing to get that. And then we can, help you move from where you are into something more secure or more best practices. So cost to action here, again, we can help you plan for the future. We can quote out what you need in order to do that, help you with demos, we can help you with services and implementations, optimizations. We do it all. So very happy to have a conversation with anybody about any one of the technologies that we represent and that we work with. The big one today is going to be Nutanix. So very, very happy to partner with Nutanix, and very much going to jump into it today and hope you guys can get some good lessons, some good information on what we put in front of you. And don't forget, you got labs today so that you can break ours instead of breaking yours. So that is Integra. If you guys have any questions, again, you can throw them in the chat, you can throw them in Q&A, or you can just unmute yourself and jump in. We'll take interruptions all day.
And please do. It keeps the class a little more fun. We're Harvey and I, and even Alex, we're talking about a bunch, so you're not bothering us at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely with a smaller crowd. Let's all be friends. The engineering community, we're a small, tight-knit community. We like to help each other out, right? So no worries at all if you guys jump in and let's have a discussion.
Yeah. And while Paul is going through these pieces, just want to let you guys know that I will be sending you some information to complete the labs. I'll be doing that in between interrupting Paul. And you guys will have what you need in order to get the lab instructions and to actually jump into the lab when it's time to do so. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll turn it over to Paul.
Cool, appreciate that, Harvey.
Absolutely.
To go over Nutanix 101, for anyone that's new on the call to Nutanix, I'm gonna take a quick step back and start from the beginning. You'll see that Nutanix has gone more than just HCI. We are moving towards being known as a hybrid cloud company instead of just HCI. And I'll definitely get into that. But to start out, right, what we're trying to do, our goal is to modernize your data center. Most of you, or majority of customers out there right now, are still running a 3-tiered environment. So you guys are familiar, right, with the 3 tiers. Your networking, your server, and on top virtualization, and then you're connected to a point SAN. With 3-tier architecture does come with a few challenges. I like to call it my 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, you guys might be tied down on just managing the infrastructure versus spending time on what drives revenue to your company or your federal government, what hits your missing goals, right? You're spending a lot of time, a lot of resources just maintaining that 3-tiered environment you guys have. You're gonna need specialized skills, care for integration, because you might have 3, 4, 5 or so different vendors in your environment. Say for example, you have your Cisco, your UCS, you might have Dell servers, and you might have a NetApp SAN, right? That's 3 different, or 4 that I just mentioned, OEM vendors that you have to make sure all are integrated, working together. And if you upgrade one, you're gonna make sure they all upgrade together, which causes some long planning cycles with that. We alleviate that problem. We collapse down all 3 tiers into a 2U appliance, which I like to call a cloud in the box. Essentially, you are literally getting a cloud in the box experience within Nutanix. And if you either grow, add more resources, we'll just add more appliance to your cluster. But going back here, so we are a software company. So we don't mind whichever OEM appliance or manufacturer you go with. We do partner very heavily with those labels you see there with HPE, Lenovo, Cisco, and Dell. But we can also put on the cloud as well in AWS as a bare metal. So anyone you need to put Nutanix, it can work with that. Built into Nutanix is our built-in hypervisor. So it's called AHV. We can see that we can also work with EXI and Hyper-V as well. So if you're still using a VMware environment, we can still leverage that. Again, it's hammering home a message of us being software agnostic. You can see K8 there. We also do have a built-in Kubernetes container orchestration. If you need more specialized, action items for it, we do partner very heavily with Red Hat now. So for that OpenShift containerized. But if you need something out of the box, plug and play, Kubernetes orchestration, which we named Carbon, it's right out of the box, plug and play to use. So you can hear me say that a lot. The product is literally plug and play. We get that cloud experience on premise. And then I'll allude to later how we can also migrate data out to AWS cloud or another DR environment or cloud environment you guys use as that true hybrid cloud company. I'll quick pause there. Questions, concerns, comments so far? Cool. I kind of took one of this picture out here on the internet, or I stalked Harvey. That's him in there, trapping in those wires. I've actually seen customer sites looking like this at a couple of data centers where wires is everywhere. Right, it's cumbersome to manage. It takes a lot of professional wire managers to run a 3-tier environment. We'll replace those with a 3-tier or with Nutanix there on the right-hand side. You can see how much cleaner, neater, and much more manageable it is within your environment. You guys are probably familiar with this as well as IT admins. I know myself in the past being one, I got to open up a bunch of GUIs and windows just to manage my environment, like hundreds of tabs, right? Hundreds of GUIs, one for UCS, one for NetApp, Dell server, what have you. Within Nutanix, it's just one graphical user interface for all your metrics. You can see there's HTML5. All you got to do is type in the web address, and you can log in and manage from wherever you need to be. We have customers that log in from home in their Tesla. We actually had one log in from the Grand Canyon flying over a helicopter, upgrading and managing his environment. So we make it more streamlined, a lot more easier to manage. And again, our console there, we see there's Prism Central. So there's 2 layers, right? So we have Prism Element, which manages one cluster. And then Prism Central, what you see there, manages multiple Prism Element, hence multiple clusters. So we have manager of managers as well. Cool. So this is where I want to allude to, this is over the scope of this class, but this is where we're heading towards as a company as a whole, right? We want to be able to manage all your cloud within Nutanix. So whether it be public, private, or on-prem, we'll be a single one-click deployment. We'll deploy out our DSF, or so restores Fabric, AOS, out to different cloud providers or locations, and then we can migrate data as we can, right? And it'll be managed through that Prism Element console. So you see that on the left, Xi. We do have our own cloud that we name Nutanix Xi, but of course AWS and soon Azure will be GA as well, coming up soon. So if any of you guys are familiar with AWS, all we're doing, right, we're putting our Nutanix software on a bare metal instance out on AWS. So that way it becomes one large data fabric where we can migrate data from on-prem to the cloud. Multiple reasons for doing so. Main reason is for lift and shift and on-demand elasticity. So if you have any workload that grows and shrink periodically, go ahead and move it out to the cloud, right? Because clouds are really good for burst and cost governance with elasticity of data growth. But there's certain data like databases where you want to hold near and dear to your heart and manage it on premise. We can do that as well. So we can separate out your workload depending on what it is. We can place this where it's best fit and where it needs to be the most. Since we are running on AWS, we can leverage all AWS's cloud native services, whether it be their VPC, their Lambda, RDS, what have you. All of AWS's native services are also available for you guys to use as well. And of course, business continuity, we can go ahead and send backups to AWS. We have our own data mover built in, S3 connector, so we don't need an appliance to move anything. And then we can also write lifecycle policy, your storage off to a colder tier to object store out to AWS as well. So a lot of flexibility with the hybrid cloud model. We can talk for hours on it. And as you guys know, every customer has a different scenario. And just know that we have a solution for every scenario that you guys have through our large portfolio of products and discussions. Question, concern, comments, or do you guys see this fitting into your environment or anything at all? I'll open the floor quickly to the crowd. Cool, and feel free to put it in the chat as well.
Quiet group, I might have to do something crazy. All right, go ahead, Paul. We'll see.
Cool. So this slide is just hammering home. We're hardware agnostic. Yep, Brad says look very flexible. Absolutely, absolutely. We're not going to vendor lock you into anything. You can see there, Nutanix goes freedom of choice. So top layer, right? Hypervisor. Again, it's built in AHV. We can use vSphere or Hyper-V or what have you. Platform of choice, Nutanix. You see it's highlighted because we do partner with Supermicro, so it's our NX series. But we do pretty lean heavily on the other OEMs as well, whether you have Dell needs or Lenovo or HPE. Cloud of choice, like I mentioned, soon GA will be Azure. But right now we have our own cloud provider, Xi, and we work very well with Amazon AWS. Cool. So Nutanix Webscale architecture, what does that mean? So when Nutanix started, our founders, Dheeraj, actually came from Google. So Google, as you guys know, hold petabytes and petabytes of data. They're realizing very quickly that they're losing or they're having trouble, right, growing with a single SAN solution. So what they created was something called Webscale architecture, and they created the Google file system. What that is, right, is they use white box servers, right, and they just software define everything. So if you need to grow out the storage, they'll add more nodes, and that storage pool expands and grows. If anything fails, they'll just swap out the nodes, so they'll fail quick and grow quick. So we took that same approach to the Google file system and put it on Nutanix in a 2U appliance package, easier for mid-market enterprise customers like yourselves, easier to use and purchase. So if you remember earlier, I said it's a cloud in the box. I literally mean it really is, right, a cloud in the box that you guys are purchasing and putting in your data center. But you can see here, our software defined is what we call it the DSF, Distributed Storage Fabric. That's where we're going to allow to grow the storage pool and resources. We will start out with 3 nodes, and I'll explain why. But you see there the CVM is highlighted in the middle. CVM is the secret sauce of Nutanix. What is the CVM? It stands for Controller Virtual Machine. If you guys know, a normal point SAN solution might come with 2 controllers, maybe 2 physical controllers. But see, if you have 100 servers, 100 VMs all log into that 2 controllers, that could cause a bottlenecking issue. So no matter how fast your SAN is, you're bottlenecked by those 2 physical controllers. With Nutanix, we actually virtualize all those controllers on every node, every server in your environment, hence open up more swim lanes, more IO, more doors into, right, to your storage. That's also why we're very good with VDI and Citrix. That is our claim to fame and how we got our start as a company. But again, we're way past that. We can do mission critical databases, Splunk, big data, machine learning, etc. But we did start out as, right, claim to fame was VDI workload. I had the issue before I joined Nutanix. We had a SAN, right, environment, a bunch of servers. I would type, we have 100, more than 100 or so VDI users. I would type something and it will get jammed in those controllers, right? 5 seconds, 10 seconds later, then the chat starts running out. So it gives you a little lag. If you have the boot storm or bottlenecking effect, we definitely alleviate that with Nutanix by creating more open doors and swim lanes to your environment. And that's due to the CVM. The CVM also is where we house our Prism element. So if anyone familiar with vCenter, vCenter is its own separate entity, right? If vCenter goes down, there goes your management, right, interface. With us, since Prism Elements on every single CVM, if one CVM goes down, you can still log into another CVM and manage your environment through there. We also have one centralized, what we call a CVIT, one IP address to manage all the CVMs. So you can just log into one, and it'll shoot heartbeat and see what's one is the leader, and we'll manage it from there. Quick pause again. A little bit of a quiet crowd today, but I'll open the floor. Any questions, concern, comments? Harvey, I know you want to say something. Anything else to add?
I'm gonna wait. I'll give them one more try.
Right. Whoever has a good question first, we'll have Alex send over a gift card.
There we go.
So
used.
So this is one model that we have. So again, we have a lot of different models for different use cases and workloads for you guys. This one is the NX model. It's running 4 nodes in a single chassis. But we do have models where if you do need, right, we do have single node chassis as well, just for HA purposes or power purposes that you guys have. Just know we have different models. It's not one size fit all. We have storage heavy nodes as well and compute heavy nodes. So a lot of different ways we can mix and match your environment. But this is one model. This is the NX. You can see it's a 4-blade chassis. The hard drives are in front. The CPU memory are in the back. We are a hybrid model, right? It will run 2-to-4 ratio, SSDs to hard drives. So we'll do hot and cold tiering, move data from SSDs to hard drives for you. If you have needs for all flash, we also have all flash models as well as NVMe flash. So again, we're software defined, so you should only need to build out one storage pool into your environment. I think we took out that ability to create multiple storage pools, so you only should be able to create one. Once you create that storage pool, we'll go ahead and create containers. So containers is our version of VMware's data store. The containers is where we're going to store all the VMs, your QCOWs, your VMDKs, right? And then we can set different rules for different containers as well. But I've seen many customers just have one container. You don't need multiple. You don't need to. But you know, we can separate out different VMs, different policies per container basis. Cool. So data locality is a very big buzzword here at Nutanix. It's kind of what differentiates ourselves from other HCI or even any other software-defined storage out there in the market. What's alluding to, right, is the data that we're storing will always reside where the VM is stored. So as VM is in node 1, the data is also in node 1 and not node 2 or 3 or 4. So if it needs to read data, it's not traversing through the network to fetch that data. So it's faster that way as well. Let me get to let me go through this. So RF2 and RF3 is how we deal with failures, right, and redundancy. So we're always going to create a second copy of that data on a node in your environment. So that's why we do need to start out with 3 nodes for N+1 scenario. Our SEs will size with you guys, make sure everything runs either N+1 or N+2. And we can size appropriately whether you guys need RF2 or RF3. Replication factor of 3 means we'll create even an additional copy. So you have 3 copies of your data in that Nutanix cluster. Okay, so intelligent tearing, I mentioned before, we do hot and cold data. We can tear it out. Again, we have all flash models. We also have a function called VM flash mode, where if you have a lot of databases, we can actually commit and make sure those databases always will transact and reside in SSE tier. It'll never tear out to HDD. So we commit that as well. Cool. So normally, if you do this in person, I like to whiteboard, as every SE you've ever ran to, right? Whiteboard is kind of our favorite tool to use to elaborate whatever is in our brain. So I'll try my best here. Since the new work from home measures, hopefully these slides kind of do this justice. So I do want to show you how read and write are done with Nutanix, with data locality, and what RF2, RF3 does with failure scenarios, and how it's a little different from, well, very different from competitors, right? And why a lot of people are going over to Nutanix and modernizing infrastructure with Nutanix HCI. So right now we have a 3-node infrastructure. So node 1, node 2, node 3. VM right now is sitting on node 1. When VM1 does write data, you can see the blocks will be written data locality to node 1, nowhere else. So another product or competitor, right? If you have a large storage pool, that data could reside on any node, right? We're going to make sure we lock in wherever the VM resides is going to store that data in that same node. For high availability with RF2, we'll go ahead and create a copy of those blocks. Again, we're creating a copy of the block level. So you can see the blocks getting replicated, and it's striping as well. So you see it's not all going to node 2, but also node 3. We're going to stripe across your environment. With RF3, we'll do another copy, so you have 3. Cool. And read and write, as I mentioned before, the reading will be done locally as well. Cool. vMotion or DRS or live migration. Again, with data locality, let's say we vMotion the VM. It gets moved over to node 3. The first read, if you're looking for the light blue, if it's already there, let's go ahead and read the replicated block. Trying to read yellow or green, since it's not there, it'll go ahead and move over as data locality to wherever the node it resides in. So it will go wherever the VM goes with data locality. And our CVM also logs in all the metadata. So every CVM does know where all the replicated data are located, and we can read and write data from that. CVM autopathing is very important as well. So in case of a CVM failure, this is where I mentioned where the benefit of having multiple CVMs, right? They do send heartbeats to each other, and also they have that metadata I alluded to know where all the blocks are. So if CVM node 1 ever goes down, CVM autopathing, CVM2 will go ahead and take its place and read and write the blocks from there. I'll take a quick pause there. I'm missing 2 slides that I was going to show. If the whole node goes down, right, the VM will move over and then do the same scenario. But question, concern, comments, concerns on this?
One question
right.
from.
There we go. It almost
No
happened.
worries.
You saved
The
them.
first gift card taker.
Oh, no worries. So one thing I did see, you mentioned striping, and is that like a form of RAID, I guess, for that? And what type of RAID would you say it's closest to? 5, 10?
Yeah, I'm glad you. It's a good toss up, right? So we want to stay away from the definition of RAID Nutanix. You know how VMware does, I think, RAIN, right? Redundant array of independent nodes. We're a little different. We care about the blocks and where the blocks reside. So we're creating those multiple blocks. I only say striping because it does stripe, but we don't behave like a RAID or a RAIN. And that way we can be more flexible for also larger environments. We can also do block awareness and rack awareness.
Got it.
So in a larger
Awesome.
environment, we can have 2 racks and it can replicate between the racks. So if you trip on one wire of power in one rack, there will be data on rack 2.
Yep.
So we need rack awareness and block awareness as well. Very, very, very good question. Cool. Any other question, concern? All right, awesome. Let me go back to this. I know I have a good slide here somewhere. So this is a slide I kind of put it out of order, so my fault. What I want to go over is a failure scenario. So this one, what I created is running an n+2 scenario. So what does n+2 mean? That means you can lose 2 nodes and still be able to house, right, your data. So this is running an n+2 on a 5-node configuration. So let's say what happens if 1 node goes down. So boom, HA will kick in. VM moves over to node 2. We'll redistribute and self-heal the data. And you can see it redistribute out the blocks. Node 2 goes down, same thing. VM moves over to the next node. And we'll go ahead and self-heal, redistribute out those blocks in RF2 and create those copies.
All right, Paul, I got a question for you.
Sure.
The question is, could you theoretically have a different mixture of all different manufacturers of servers with all different CPUs?
Yes, but it has to be a separate cluster. We will size appropriately for you beforehand when we do run the environment. Ideally, best case scenario, ideally, right, for failure scenarios is to have all the block or the nodes be the same model size and whatnot, right? So you know for sure if one goes down, it has enough CPU resources and right storage to house those VMs that we're failing over. Initially, we will size appropriately as for our SEs. But to answer your question, we can mix and match, but we highly recommend it being the same.
Yes. So, and to kind of hit that same topic kind of from a different direction, as you are setting up your data center and in the life cycle of your equipment, as we're kind of talking through, you have the ability to mix and match different CPUs within the same cluster. Different storage, different storage sizes with the nodes in a single cluster, but they need to be the same manufacturer. So that's what Paul was kind of hitting on from the cluster standpoint. Mm-hmm. At the same time, if you decided that I'm an HP shop today, everything I buy is HP, and then at some point in the future you decide, I just want to use the Nutanix branded hardware, you could absolutely do that. They would exist in the same data center physically, but they would be 2 different clusters. And so you can still mix and match in that way. They can all still work on the same network. but you need to keep the separation there by manufacturer, but not by CPU, not by storage, not by load size or node size or anything like that, just by vendor manufacturer.
Correct. And you have multiple clusters. Cluster 1 can run AHV hypervisor. Cluster 2 can run EXI, and cluster 3 can run Hyper-V. We just separate by clusters. And again, it's all managed through Prism Central to manage all the clusters.
Great question.
Oh, Alan, during break, let me reset the password for you. I'll send you the password.
Alan's jumping the gun.
Completely forgot this morning. I'll do that during break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a simple fix. I just have to reset the password. We can also do infinity rules or anti-infinity rules. So depending on if you want the VMs to make sure they're on 2 separate nodes in case one goes down, right? You don't lose both. Or if you need to keep them together, we can do infinity or anti-infinity rules as you need. Cool. Also, we do have a built-in snapshot backup capabilities, RPO, RTO, depending on your SLAs. A normal one, we can do RPO of every hour, but we can also do near sync backup, which can do minute to 5 minutes. What near sync does is it creates a synthetic full and then captures the deltas, and it does a kind of a rolling backup. So we can do down to 1 minute to 5 minutes, but without near sync, it will be 1 hour RPOs. We still recommend partnering up with a third-party vendor for backup, right? We do partner very heavily with either Haiku, Veeam, or whichever backup provider you prefer. And again, we have S3 connectors where we can send our backups out to AWS S3, and then we can tear it out to objects or any cold storage. We also have metro availability for near sync, right? We can send all the backups and send it all together, and for metro availability. So site 2 will always be up to date as site 1. And we have that as well. So depending on our scenario, we'll work with you on the backup side. We also have DR as a service. That's not on my slides. So we do also offer DR as a service something called Leap. What that does is, either you can set up a physical DR site and it'll replicate a copy of full tolerance VM over to your DR site, or you can replicate out to our cloud Xi. It's for customers who doesn't want to build out their own data center. Just go ahead and leverage ours. It's a single click to enable, and we'll start replicating backup data, full tolerant backup data out to Xi Cloud. So if you have RTOs less than a minute, it's a perfect scenario for DR as a service. We'll run through the steps. VM goes down, redirect the user to our cloud, and you would know that there was an outage. So DR service is available as well, either on-prem or to our Xi Cloud use case. So depending on your SLAs, your RTOs, and RPOs, we can have those discussions, and we can work with whichever backup provider, third-party vendor you guys like to use. Question, concern, comments, or further discussion you guys like to go with backup, or I like to hear what you guys are using for backup and what you're doing currently right now. See if you can help out. Anyone? Any takers? And again, hopefully this hammers home that we're not just a single product solution company, right? We're more of a solution company now to fit all your needs and your scenarios within Nutanix. Cool. One upgrade scenario. So we do also do a rolling non-destructive upgrade. Again, this is another benefit of having CVMs in every node. No longer do you need to do your upgrades after hours or on the weekends. You can actually do upgrades during work hours. It'll just do the HA scenario, right? We'll upgrade one node at a time, move all the VMs to node 2, and then just move back and forth and upgrade node 1 to node 2 to node 3 as a non-destructive rolling upgrade. And it's also a single click, right? You're gonna hear that a lot, maybe 1 or 2, right? The locking of the console. But once you're in, all it is click on either AOS you're upgrading, Foundation, or the Hypervisor. We'll upload the installer, and then we'll go ahead and upgrade your environment. Cool. We can also do cross-hypervisor replication. So this is where I was mentioning where different clusters can have different hypervisors. You can also replicate backup data from VMware to the AHV cluster, vice versa. We can also do hypervisor conversion. We are seeing about 70 to 80% conversion rate of customers moving over from EXI to AHV. A lot of people are using AHV for DR sites to test out because we don't license you for per core or per socket license like VMware. It does save you on the hypervisor tax pricing, right? So a lot of people are seeing how much money they're saving running AHV on DR. They actually implement it back on their primary site. So we can't convert, right? And for whatever reason, if you do need to go back to EXI, it's a very easy conversion back to EXI. Simple cluster expansion will connect all the servers to a top of rack switch, add a brand new node. We'll auto detect that through IPv6, and then we'll just expand out the node, redistribute again the data, and do R2 and R3 within your environment. Cool. Image services will create a container to house all your ISOs. Just a little neater to set up and install your Windows machines. You'll do this in the lab. You'll create image services, and you'll see those steps. What I'd like to do next, right, actually do a demo of Prism Central. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break, and let me spin up one of my demo environments, and I'll go over Prism Central with everyone, and I'll make sure Dale that I reset the password to the lab. So let's take a 10-minute break. Let's come back here at 2:15, and I'll do a quick demo. Hey, Harvey, are you back? Bless you.
Jeez.
No worries. I just put in the chat. I just upgraded or changed the password on for VDI frame.
Okay.
But still use the old password for when you log into Prism Element.
Man, sorry about that. I was reaching for the mute button and the cough came, and then every time I coughed, I missed the mute button.
No worries.
Jeez. Gotta love it.
Yeah, allergy season.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get me started.
Cool. Give me 1 more minute, guys. I'm spinning up the lab, or not the lab, the demo. Cool. While the demo is getting loaded, you guys having is the new password working for everyone to get into the VDI frame? And also to note, what you guys are logged into, Frame is actually a Nutanix product.
Yes. That's why I love to use it for these. Get a good glimpse of what it looks like, how it feels to use it. You gotta let them go in there, Paul, and just do everything and be like, oh, how do I do that?
Right. Cool. Yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and go through the demo. I'm just gonna just briefly go through a few things. Hopefully it'll make the lab go a little easier just to show you where everything's located. But what I want to show first is it's a little beyond the scope of this class. We won't be going, the lab won't go through Prism Central, but there's a few things in Prism Central that I do want to show you guys and make sure you guys are aware and know that it exists, right? So again, right now I'm on Prism Central. Prism Central manages multiple clusters. Whatever you do in Prism Central, you can do in Prism Element as well, vice versa. So from here, you can go ahead and build out, right, your VMs, your images, your storage container, everything you do in Prism Element, you can do here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and create one VM just to show you real quick how it goes. What I'm also going to show as well, that's beyond the scope of this class, is I'm going to show something called XPlay. So XPlay is our automation tool that's built into Prism Central. It automates your IT operations, or ITOM. So say, for example, a VM runs out of memory. Normally, you have to figure out which VM runs out of memory first, right? Go and log into that VM and turning it off and adding memory to that VM. We can automate that process for you. This is something you probably use in a day-to-day basis as an IT admin, right? If a VM runs out of memory, it'll go ahead and shoot you an email alert or a Slack message, so you'll be notified. It'll automatically run through steps that you set up. So normally we'll power off the VM, add more memory, power on the VM, and then you're off to go. It'll do that automatically for you as XPlay and automated IT management. There's a lot more than that you can do besides adding more memory. Right? You can add more vCPUs, right? Power on, power off VMs. I've seen customers use it for their websites. If they have a lot of users access that website and it boggles down, I've seen them add more load balancers or whatnot to the environment. So the possibilities are endless with our automation tool. We do have another product called Calm that can even make it go even further. But today, we'll go over the XPlay that's built into Prism Central. So to go ahead and demonstrate that, I will do a manual process or a manual trigger. But to do that, I'll go ahead and create a VM. So very simple, this one button right here. It is a demo environment, so it takes a little time here, but let's go ahead and name it Zentegra VM test. Keep in mind this number here, so let me go ahead and put 3. But keep in mind this number 3. I'll go ahead and run XPlay, so add one more to it automatically. It'll be 4. So just keep in mind here the 3 GB of memory. Okay, so disk is where you can add the container. I'll just do it with the default. But in the lab, you'll create your own container, and you have that your VMs, your VMDKs, or your QCows housed into that container you create. All right, and let's go ahead and create this VM. Okay, so you can see very quickly, it's a couple clicks. Set out your containers, and then for a little further, you can create subnets and your networking. And by then, you have your VMs created. So let me refresh the page. And there's that VM that we created. So again, keep in mind this 3. I guess I could create more, but just for example, let's say you have 100 of those VMs, right? And you need to add more memory to it. It'll take time to go one by one. I can actually automate and make all of them upgrade. So to go through that process, go over to either you call it the 3 bars, or I call it the hamburger, because it kind of looks like a hamburger there. I'm a foodie, so I reference everything by food. But go to operations. If you go down to playbook, I already know what it is, so let's go ahead and get started. So there's a couple already pre-built playbooks, run books that are already created in the system. Let's create our own. Again, you can do an automated, so you'll shoot your alert and send out an event when it's triggered. But for demo purposes, I'll go ahead and do the manual version. You can manipulate either VM down to the VM level, or you can actually do manipulate the host and the cluster. So action 1, you always want to power off the VM. Oh, actually, step 1, normally you'll send an email or a Slack notification. I won't do this for this lab because it'll just keep bothering me, right? But normally, real life scenario, you go ahead and instead of email and Slack alert. Step 2, power off the VM.
Sounds too much like communication, Paul.
Yep.
I thought you just go in here and press the buttons and stuff happens.
Well, we gotta set up playbook, and then it'll be one button after we set up those steps.
Right.
And then you can also write your custom scripts as well. So these are pre-built ones. You can also manually just write scripts. For this example, I'm gonna go ahead and add memory. So you can add as many as you want. I'll go ahead and do 1 every time. And I'll make sure I cap it at 5 so it doesn't go overboard. So you can set your parameters. Cool, and then at the end, we definitely want to power back on that feature. All right, so let's save and close this. We'll call it Zentegra adding mem. And make sure you enable and save. Cool. So there we go. It added to my list. You can see these are the automated one alerts, and this trigger is manual trigger. So let's go back to my VM list. So again, just imagine you have 100 of these VMs. Go ahead and select all of them, all the ones that you want to add memory. Go under Actions, run the playbook. There it is. And it's going to run step by step of the actions that I built out. So Harvey, this is where the one click comes in after you build out everything. So here we go, one click, run. And I'll give it a couple seconds here to kick off. What's going to do first is power off the VM, add in that memory, and then power on the VM for us. So it just got kicked off. Green means good. Let me refresh the page here. And there we go. That 3 became a 4. Question, concern, comments? That's cool. That's not cool.
Right.
Anything? and there it is. It powered on the VM for me as the last step. So I think it's
does
really neat.
Anybody see any value out of being able to have this? I mean, I think it's important. Paul thinks it's important, but what do you guys think? All right, I still have silence and no messages. And
No worries. I think Alex ran away with those gift cards.
There we go. There's a message. That'll definitely make our life easier. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, I wish that I had this set of tools when I was responsible for all of this stuff. Especially when I was in my many one-man show days.
Yep.
If I could just do this and have things built in that I could just, hey, go do this, go schedule this, do this when you have time, not, you know, while I'm asleep. You know, that would have been amazing for me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, I think it's the most powerful tool automation that we have here at Nutanix. It just gets a little ellipsed by all the new products that were coming out in the company. But I still think this is definitely my favorite, and one I know customers are going to use the most in their day-to-day operations. We on top of that, we also have what we call XFit, which does machine learning. It'll get better over time, right? As you use Nutanix, it can also predict ahead of time how much resources are going to be used and how much are going to be left. So this is a demo environment, nothing's being used right now, but if it was a live scenario, it will show like a month, couple months, right, a year, notify how much runway you have before you run out of resources, before you have to right, scale up and add more resources to that node, or add more nodes, scale out and add more nodes to your environment. So let's go ahead and take a look what it looks like. So again, this is a demo, but in real life scenario, it'll have a graph here of usage over time. And it goes through stored CPU memory. Whenever this loads, I'll show you. Yep, here we go. So this is what's in use today, and this is what it's going to predict of growth in the future, so you can see. We can also optimize resources. So it can also tell you or give you a report on any over-provisioned VMs, maybe. Any VMs that are inactive that you can power off to save resources, or any noisy, Boolean constrained VMs that we can remediate. So pretty cool stuff that we can run reports on. What we can also do as well, I keep saying that because there's so many amazing features within Nutanix.
Right.
We can also create a test scenario. So for example, if you have a project coming in the next 6 months, say you're adding 500 more VDI users, Will that fit into your current environment, or do you need to purchase more nodes, right? You can actually test that before you run your project. So I'll go ahead and create scenario. So this is what it is today. You can see you can target out from 1 month to a year, or whatever your new project is. It doesn't have to be VDI. It can be more VMs or more databases will fit to your current environment in the future with growth. Let's go ahead and just test 6 months on the existing cluster. So it has the existing workload, and we'll add a brand new workload targeted in the next 6 months. So again, like I said, you can do SQL, VMs, VDI, Splunk. But VDI is the easiest for me to demo. Because I'm gonna have 500. Of course, 500 users is gonna freak out and be like, "Oh, there's not enough space," right? So let's go ahead and add 500. And actually, I have seen this a lot with customers lately with pandemic. A lot of people are now scrambling to run VDI in their infrastructure with a lot of people working from home. So I have seen this scenario a lot as well. So you can see here in the next 6 months with 500 users, it's not going to have enough resources. And again, this is for you as a customer to see and not, right? Not myself as a Nutanix employee or not even Zentegra. This is you as a customer to see to to have discussions with the team. So if you hit on recommended, it'll give you a recommendation of what hardware to expand with or purchase with us here. So I'm going to assume it's going to recommend me the NX, maybe even 8000 series, because it's going to be storage heavy, but it might even recommend me the 3000. It's our all-purpose appliance. So I'll give you a little time here to set up that recommendation, but it'll show up down here. And it'll also show you the number of nodes that you want to grow to hit that 6 month mark with the runway. Cool. This is lagging a little bit, but question, concern, comments, there it is recommending me 2 nodes of the NX 3000 series and the resources with it to hit that 6 month mark. Cool. Question, concern, comments?
Man, I guess it takes a lot more to impress people these days, Paul.
I try. I need my gift cards. But yeah.
That's another big one for me. I mean, being able to have that handy. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only person on this call who's ever been asked. Well, I shouldn't say asked. Asked is very nice for how it happens, but it's, you know, we need to add 500 more people next month. You go ahead and get on that. So wait a minute. You can't just do that.
Yep.
But being able to get this kind of information that quickly, so that you can let your leadership know what that actually means, what that actually would cost from a business standpoint, I mean, I think is invaluable. Before we used to have to break out the calculator and try to figure out what it would be from an aggregate standpoint to be able to bring that many users on that quickly. And it just makes it so it's a couple of clicks and you're done in 5 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. So you can see here, I just logged in very quickly from Prism Central to Prism Element by a single click. So I'm in Prism Element. I'm just going to touch this very quickly, so you'll do this in the lab. But I just want to show you where everything's located. Hopefully, it'll make it a little easier to navigate through. Again, it's HTML5 to log into. This is the main console. If you go to the gearbox, this is also where you'll go ahead and upgrade the software with one-click operations. So this is where you'll upgrade your AOS, your file server, hypervisor, NCC check. We will run through checks for you ahead of time to make sure when you do upgrade, everything works together. We did start out with maybe 400 or 500 checks, but it's like in the thousands now, right? We're continually getting better with our checks. and a bunch of more LCMs should be here as well. Just play around. You can do cluster lockdown, encryption, set up your network, everything here in the gearbox that you run through in the lab. And you're going to spend a lot of time on this drop-down menu as well. So just like in Prism Central, this is where you build out your VM. Go to storage. This is where you build out your one storage pool, right? And this is where you build out your storage container to house that VM. So give it a name. You can go to advanced settings as well. So you can do reserve and advertised capacity, kind of our roundabout way of doing thin provisioning. And then per container basis, this will set your compression, dedupe level, even erasure coding down to the container level. So you create the container in the lab, then you go back and create your VM and house that VM in that container. And then I think it goes through data protection. So here you create your protection domain. Give it a name. I'll just call it Zentegra. Oh, I see. Zentegra backup. And a protection domain is just a bucket of VMs that you want to protect. So you can create one protection domain that back up once a day. And if you're missing criticals, create another protection domain to back up every hour. Again, we do have near sync that we can do from 1 minute to 5 minutes. So you go ahead and create your protection domains from here. And then you can create a DR site to replicate to. And again, we can replicate to AWS S3. So I won't go through this. I'll let you guys have fun in the lab. But yeah, without any further questions and concerns, I'll let you guys go and run the labs. We'll be here for any questions, concerns, or comments. Cool. Is anyone having trouble accessing the lab? Let me pull up the lab workbook here.
I think definitely everybody should have the email that I sent with all the intros. So
Yep, I see them enrolled in.
all right, perfect.
So let me sign up as well so I can put it up on the screen. One second. So you guys should have the soft copy of the workbook. It is yours to keep and have and refer to whenever you guys need. Just go through the steps one by one. So the first 3 ones, technology overview, it's basically what I went over today. A lot of good information on here. But the lab doesn't start until storage configuration. Go through the steps one by one. Right. One thing I will note for the lab, when you deploy workload, make sure you create Windows VMs first, and then at the end, go back and do Linux. So for Linux, it's an extra step. We would have to go into image configuration, optional labs, right? So it teaches you to create that image services to upload the Linux ISO. And then you create the Linux machine. But to make sure the lab runs smooth the first run, I do recommend just go ahead and run through the lab first with Windows VMs, get through the whole thing. And then if you have time, do the optional lab, and then go back here and run and create the Linux VM. Cool. Cool. So we'll be here. I might have a hard stop in about an hour, but you guys do have the lab until I guess we're 3 hours back from 11 p.m. is blanking out. You will have the lab until 9 p.m. Right, Pacific time. But again, we'll be here for another hour or so if you have any questions, concerns running through the labs. If not, you can also shoot email to Harvey if you run into any problems afterwards. But we'll be here for another hour, and let's run through the labs. And Harvey, you can end the recording if you like.
Good call, sir.